Beyond Barriers: The Resilient Rise of Black Women Entrepreneurs Who Are Rewriting the Rules of Success. Have you ever wondered what happens when someone is told no 99 times but still believes in their yes? When someone sleeps on the floor of a radio station because they can't afford both rent and their dream? When someone turns their kitchen experiments into a multi-million dollar beauty empire? I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Marshlynn Bolden, a visionary thought leader whose work illuminating the journeys of Black women entrepreneurs has transformed how we understand success, resilience, and authentic leadership. Her insights left me both humbled and electrified. Marshlynn isn't just documenting these stories, she's creating a blueprint for a more equitable business landscape where innovation isn't limited by identity. Through her research and advocacy, she's helping rewrite the rules of entrepreneurship for generations to come. Today, I want to share what I learned from Marshlyn about the extraordinary resilience, community minded leadership, and revolutionary self care practices that are transforming how we understand success in business and beyond. The stories I'm about to share aren't just success stories. They're resistance stories. They're revolution stories. They're I'll show you what's possible stories. Let's be honest. We live in a world where the phrase against all odds has become so overused, it's almost lost its meaning. It's like calling every slightly challenging hike Everest. But when we talk about Black women entrepreneurs, against all odds isn't hyperbole, it's statistical reality. According to Project Diane, Black women founders receive just 0.34% of venture capital funding in recent years. Not 34%, not 3.4%, but 0.34%. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. And yet, and yet, Black women are starting businesses at a higher rate than any other demographic group in America. If that doesn't embody resilience, I don't know what does. It's like watching someone plant a garden in concrete and somehow grow an orchard. Take Kathy Hughes, founder of Urban One, now the largest African American owned broadcasting company in the world. When Hughes first acquired her radio station in Washington, D.C., she faced rejection after rejection from banks and investors. The message was clear, though never stated directly. Black women weren't supposed to own media companies, but Hughes had a vision to create media that authentically represented Black voices and experiences. When her financing fell through, she didn't just pivot, she moved into the station literally. For years, she slept on the floor of that radio station, broadcasting during the day and figuring out survival at night. Let that sink in for a moment. She slept on the floor of her business. Would you do that for your dream? Could you? I'm not sure I would. I like my mattress. I'm quite fond of having a shower nearby. But Hughes wasn't just building a business. She was fighting for representation in an industry that had systematically excluded people who looked like her. Today, Urban One is worth over $460 million and reaches millions of listeners. But more importantly, it changed the landscape of media ownership and created pathways for authentic Black storytelling. Hughes didn't just build a company, she built a platform that amplified voices that had been systematically silenced. When I heard this story from Marshlynn Bolden, I couldn't help but think about how inspiration isn't just about individual achievement. It's about changing systems. It's about proving what's possible for an entire community. It's about the audacity to believe that your voice matters, even when the world tells you it doesn't. And that brings me to the second insight for my conversation with Marshlynn. True inspiration isn't just about personal success, it's about community empowerment. Lisa Price, founder of Carol's Daughter, embodies this principle perfectly. Price started mixing natural hair and skin products in her Brooklyn kitchen in the early 1990s. This wasn't just entrepreneurship, It was a response to an industry that had largely ignored the needs of Black women. What makes Price's story remarkable isn't just that she built a brand that eventually sold to L'Oreal for millions, it's how she did it through community. When traditional marketing channels weren't available to her, Price relied on word of mouth within her community. She sold at church flea markets and neighborhood festivals before opening her first store. When celebrities like Jada Pinkett Smith discovered her products, they didn't just use them, they invested in her vision. They recognized that Carol's daughter wasn't just selling beauty products, it was selling self love to a community that had been told for generations that their natural features weren't beautiful. Price's journey teaches us something profound about inspiration. It's reciprocal. She drew strength from her community, and in turn, her success empowered that same community. She didn't climb the ladder and pull it up behind her, she built a wider staircase. As Marshlyn emphasized in our conversation, this community minded approach isn't just nice, it's necessary. When you're operating in spaces that weren't designed for you, individual success isn't enough. Your triumph has to create pathways for others. But here's where things get interesting and where my conversation with Marshlyn took an unexpected turn. Because there's a third element to inspiration that rarely makes it into the highlight reels. Sustainable success requires radical self care. We've all heard the glorification of hustle culture, the sleep when you're dead mentality that equates rest with weakness. But Black women entrepreneurs are increasingly rejecting this narrative, recognizing it as yet another system of oppression. As Marshlyn powerfully articulated, for communities that have historically been exploited for their labor, rest isn't just self care, it's resistance, it's reparations. Consider Jessica Matthews, founder of Uncharted Power. After inventing the socket, a soccer ball that generates electricity when kicked, Matthews could have followed the traditional startup path of relentless expansion at all costs. Instead, she built her company with sustainability at its core, not just environmental sustainability, but human sustainability. Matthews recognized that solving energy poverty in Nigeria and beyond required more than brilliant technology. It required leaders who weren't burning themselves out. By prioritizing her well being alongside her company's growth, she modeled a different kind of success, one where achievement doesn't come at the cost of help. This approach isn't soft, it's strategic and it's revolutionary. Because here's what we don't talk about enough: burnout isn't just a personal health issue, it's a structural barrier. When we glorify exhaustion, we create systems that are inherently exclusionary to those with caregiving responsibilities or health considerations. And guess who disproportionately bears those burdens? Women, people of color, and especially women of color. So when Black women entrepreneurs prioritize rest and well being, they're not just taking care of themselves, they're redesigning what success looks like. They're creating businesses that generate wealth without generating trauma. They are building legacies that can be sustained across generations. As I reflected on my conversation with Marshlyn, I realized that these three elements: resilience, community empowerment, and radical self care aren't separate strategies. They're interconnected parts of a revolutionary approach to entrepreneurship. This approach isn't just inspiring, it's instructive. It offers lessons for anyone trying to create change in systems that resist transformation. First, resilience isn't just about bouncing back from setbacks, it's about transforming barriers into bridges. When Kathy Hughes couldn't get traditional financing, she didn't just try harder within the same system, she created an entirely new model. She turned her radio station into both her business and her home. That's not just persistence, that's creative resistance. Second, community isn't just support, it's all strategy. When Lisa Price built Carol's daughter through word of mouth in Black communities, she wasn't just working with what she had, she was leveraging the power of networks that mainstream business often overlooks. She recognized that authentic connection can outperform traditional marketing when your product truly meets an unaddressed need. And third, self care isn't selfish, it's sustainable. When Jessica Matthews built rest into her business model, she wasn't choosing between success and health. She was redefining success to include health. She understood that the goal isn't just to build businesses that survive, it's to build entrepreneurs who thrive. These insights from Marshlynn Bolden's interview challenge us to rethink what it means to be inspirational. It's not about superhuman achievement or sacrifice, it's about human scale transformation that ripples outward. So, what does this mean for you? What if you're not a Black woman entrepreneur, but want to apply these principles in your own context? The beauty of these lessons is their universality. Anyone can practice creative resistance in the face of systemic barriers. Anyone can build community centered approaches to change. Anyone can reject burnout culture and embrace sustainable success. But there's something else here too, something that Marshlyn emphasized repeatedly in our conversation. If you benefit from privilege in any form, you have a responsibility not just to apply these lessons for your own benefit, but to use your position to dismantle the barriers that make resilience necessary in the first place. That means asking hard questions. Why do Black women entrepreneurs receive so little funding despite their proven success? Why are community based business models often undervalued in favor of aggressive, individualistic approaches? Why do we continue to glorify work cultures that lead to burnout and exclusion? I want to leave you with this challenge. Don't just admire these stories, act on them. Invest in underrepresented founders. Amplify voices that challenge dominant narratives. Create policies and practices that value rest and care alongside productivity and profit. Because the most powerful lesson from these entrepreneurs isn't just what they've built, it's what they've revealed about what's possible when we reject limitations and rewrite rules. Their journeys aren't just inspirational, they're instructional. They show us that the most transformative innovations often come from those who have been told they don't belong in the room. So today, identify one concrete action you can take to support an entrepreneur who doesn't look like the traditional success story. Share resources, open doors, challenge systems, because when we expand the possibilities for one, we expand the potential for all. The future of entrepreneurship isn't just about new products or services, it's about new paradigms. And Black women entrepreneurs aren't just participating in that future, they're creating it. The question isn't whether you'll be inspired by their journey, it's whether you'll be part of the transformation they're leading. Thank you.